Hi everyone, happy Friday, or knowing my internet connection, probably Saturday by now. Welcome. Just wanted to do another video, but quite an important one really, about CrossFit, because obviously this channel is called Fatty Does CrossFit. Some of you that are part of my box, we'll get into that later, will know about CrossFit, will be part of the gym, be part of kind of the community. Some of you will have heard me talking about it. Some of you will have no idea what I'm talking about. So I wanted to kind of go through what CrossFit is to me, a bit about what it actually is, what you're going to be kind of seeing on the channel, some kind of buzzwords, kind of jargon, just so that you've got a bit of awareness around it. Also, if I talk about it in the future, then you know what it is. It saves me having to explain it every single time. It's quite a big part of my life at the minute. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a great sport. I think there's a lot of misconceptions regarding it. I think there's a lot of people that don't like CrossFit, and if you Google it, there's quite a lot of negativity out there, which is fine. Not everything is for everyone. I think some of the allegations are false, but I can only go on my personal kind of experience of CrossFit. I've only ever been to one box, and as I'm going to kind of explain, I think my box is pretty damn good. So I'm lucky to be able to have that. I don't think everyone necessarily has that, but I'll go into that a little bit later in this video. So first of all, what is CrossFit? So CrossFit is a sport that uses varying different kind of exercises to improve fitness, essentially. So you've got aspects of gymnastics, you've got aspects of Olympic weightlifting, you've got aspects of just pure kind of bodywork stuff, regular cardio, all this kind of stuff. And that's the whole point. It's called CrossFit because you've got all of these different things all merged into one. So their kind of motto, I don't know if necessarily they call it a motto, is constantly varied, high intensity, functional movement. So let's split that down. Constantly varied. Why is constantly varied important? One, do I get bored? I get bored really easily. So for people that have been to the gym before, those guys, that it's right for them, fair enough, each to their own. But they come in and they go, today's leg day, today's chest day, today I'm doing shoulders. They do the same thing every single week, and I've tried it and it bores me to tears. Within the space of a week, I'm bored. With CrossFit, it's important that everything is varied. So you're never doing the same exercise twice, bar a few exceptions, which I'll go through later in this video. Everything's changing. You constantly vary in your workout. The reason that's important is not only does it keep your kind of interest, it also has a biological kind of reason. So you're shocking your body. If you do the same workout, the set every day or every 3 days for a year, eventually, say this is your fitness, you'll go and then you'll plateau. The reason you'll plateau is because your body gets used to that movement, that amount of weight. What we want to do is constantly keeping it guessing. And that's, to a certain extent, what CrossFit does. That's constantly varied. the great thing about it is the fact that there's so many different moves, there's so many different variations and scalings and stuff, which I'll go through later, that you can have that and have all of that kind of constantly varied for as long as you want to, really. High intensity is important to get your heart rate up, helps you lose weight, helps you lose body fat, burns more calories, increases your kind of your lung capacity and all that kind of stuff, all the cardio work. It also means you're going to get the most bang for your buck, because high intensity, you're not having to do really long sets. There are times in which you have long sets, but you can do an hour at CrossFit as opposed to 3 hours regular gym work. Now, obviously, you can do that high intensity at a gym. I'm not kind of saying that the only way to do it is CrossFit, but that's the purpose of CrossFit. So it's already there. Functional movement is, for me, the most important, apart from constantly varied. Constantly varied is a personal preference of mine. Functional movement is the best thing for me because you're doing things that will benefit you in real life. So things like deadlifts. You're going to pick up a box to help your family move house, or you're moving house yourself. At some point, you're going to have to pick up a weight from the floor. That will help with that. That's what functional movement means. You're doing stuff that is then going to have an actual impact to your life, and it's something that you will use again. You're not using muscles that you hardly ever use, doing movements that you're hardly ever going to do. Pull-ups. Pulling yourself up and over something. You're not necessarily, unless you're a burglar, going to have to climb many fences in your life. I get that. But also, you're not bodybuilding and training very specific muscles, very small muscles in most people's lives, where it's not going to have that much of an impact because you're doing it for the bodybuilding, whereas this is all about getting you moving, mainly. So, the reason I love it is not the workouts, as much as I enjoy them. It wouldn't be anything without the community. The community are fantastic. It feels like with my box anyway, which again I'll go into. It feels like a family. Everybody is on the same wavelength. Everybody does the same class, which we'll go into. Different scalings, yeah, but everybody does the same workout. So at the end, everybody, whether you're doing your weight this happened to me yesterday, whether you're doing your weight at 30 kilos or doing your weight at 110, you can probably guess which one I was, you're still putting in that same level of intensity. That's where the high intensity comes in. Intensity is key, because then it's not a case of, do you even lift? It's, have you got that intensity? Which everybody, no matter what they're doing, what they're scaling for whatever reason, they've got that intensity. And everybody's in it together. So we encourage each other. You get a pat on the back, you get a handshake, you get a hug. Everyone sees that effort, and that's what's most important. And I don't think, my personal experience, I've seen that anywhere other than the box that I go to. And from what I read online and from the other experiences that I've had speaking to other CrossFitters, they feel the same way. So I've realised, looking at time, I don't want to kind of bore you guys for too long, so I'm going to get moving with this. So just a few kind of buzzwords that you might hear me say. So you've already heard me say box. Box is another word for a gym. I believe, now don't quote me on this if I'm wrong, it's because when CrossFit first started, it was just literally, it was rooms with some weights in. So it was a box. That's where it comes from. Still, most CrossFit boxes are minimal because that's what the kind of atmosphere that they want to create. It's about the work. It's not about all the saunas and this, that, and that. You can go to your hotels and various other things for that. WOD. Now, WOD stands for workout of the day. Everybody in that box on that class will do the same workout. So in my box at Form in Leeds, if you're Leeds based, I highly recommend it. I think it's fantastic. There are two classes. There's the CrossFit class, which is for the more advanced kind of people that have been a bit more experienced, a bit more technical. And then there's the form class, which is a bit, you still do technique and form is king, but it's a bit more of a kind of high intensity interval training sort of thing. We're still working on strength, some of them. Both of them classes throughout the day, CrossFit will do one, form will do another. But everyone doing that class that day will do that. That is the workout of the day. AMRAP. That stands for, that's a kind of WOD, that stands for as many rounds and reps as possible. So you get a certain given time, say 20 minutes, you get a certain number of exercises with a certain allocated number of reps. You do that exercise as many times in a row as you possibly can in 20 minutes. Or 12 minutes, or 15 minutes. Whatever that WOD is telling you. RX. Now, RX, you'll see, I might not talk about it that much because I'm nowhere near it yet, but RX is where a workout is being done as prescribed. So that's where they'll say 10 front squats, 10 back squats, and 10 overhead squats, say, at 45 kilos. If you do 10 front squats, 10 back squats, 10 overhead squats at 45 kilos, then you've done it RX. You've done it as prescribed. If you can't do all them moves at that rep level, at that weight, and you're scaling it, so scaling it down, so say you do it with an empty 20 kilo bar, that's not RX, that's scaled. There's nothing wrong with scaling a workout. Scaling prevents injury, focuses on form, protects your ego. There's nothing worse than an ego in a box. Because everyone was in that position at some point, and you're going to hurt yourself if you're doing stuff that your body is not meant to be doing. Leave your ego at the door. Do what you can. Scale the rest. EMOM. Every minute on the minute. So you'll have maybe an 8-minute EMOM, 2 workouts, 2 exercises. Say this is what we had the other day, where hollow hold for 30 seconds, where you essentially, it's sort of like a sit-up, but you just kind of hold in your chest and your shoulders off the floor and then your legs off the floor as well. Various different positions. We'll go through that another time. 30 seconds you do that, and then when the minute starts again, 10 dumbbell renegade rows, where you're in a plank position with your dumbbells and you're raising the dumbbells up to you. Again, you do 10 of them, and then you wait, and then on the minute, you do the next workout. Do that for 8 minutes. Or however many minutes. Chipper. A chipper workout is where you've got a certain number of reps, generally large numbers of high volume of reps, and you're just chipping away at it. Say it might be 50 or 100, say for Members Day, the last workout was a chipper workout. The first amount was 100 air squats. Can't do 100 air, well, I can't do 100 air squats. So you do it in sections and you're chipping away at it. The girls. Now the girls are a set of workouts that are all essentially named after women. Most famous one, or I say not most famous one, but the one that's most commonly used is Fran, which is, they're all essentially workouts that are benchmarks. So it's the only ones where you repeat it because you're doing the same workout again to try and either beat your time, beat the amount of reps that you do in that amount of time. That way you can benchmark and you can see your progress, whether it be getting fitter, whether it be getting stronger, whatever that may be, you can then do that. Hero WODs, similar thing to the girls because they're benchmarks, but they are based on and they are kind of inspired by fallen heroes. So that's maybe Americans or Europeans or anyone. They might have a WOD named after them. The most famous one being Murph. Now Murph is, now trying to remember what it is. I know it starts with a mile run, and then I think, now quote me if please let me know if I'm wrong, but don't quote me. I think it's a mile run, then 300 squats, then 200 push-ups, then 100 pull-ups, then a mile run. That is mental. But one day I hope to be able to do it because people around the globe do it every year for what in America I believe is called Memorial Day, what I think the same day is Remembrance Sunday here in the UK. And they do it in memory of the fallen heroes and they put themselves through that pain. A lot of people do it with 10, 15 kilo vests on, weight vests, just to kind of put themselves through that pain to be able to honour them fallen heroes, which I think is a fantastic way of doing it, because everyone can, well, not everyone, but most people can put in a couple of quid into a box to get a poppy and various other things. That's genuinely putting yourself through quite a lot of pain. Even the people that are ridiculously fit, Murph is tough. There's others as well, but that's the most famous one. Before I go, there's a lot to cover, so this is only the first. This is kind of beginner's guide to CrossFit, I guess. You're going to see a lot more. So like tomorrow, I'm going to film a little bit of my workout. I'm going to work on some clean and jerks at the gym tomorrow. So I'm going to show you some of the stuff. How to phrase it, the negative kind of thoughts and beliefs about CrossFit. I just want to touch on one, which is if you do CrossFit, you're going to be injured. Now, this is my personal opinion, and there's no way of kind of backing this up, but every sport that you do has an element of risk. Nobody is saying that nobody that does CrossFit gets injured, but nobody demonizes rugby or American football for the amount of injuries that they've got. But for some reason, because there have been some injuries in CrossFit, people that go to boxes, people that maybe they've not been focusing on form themselves, maybe the trainer that they've got hasn't been, or coach hasn't focused on form enough, which there are bad coaches out there. Maybe they're pushing themselves too hard. Yes, it's important to have high intensity, but you need to know your limits. And like I said before, check your ego at the door. Don't hurt yourself. It's not worth it. I think people that demonize CrossFit, and if you do come across it, I think generally, now that's why I say generally, it's not everyone, that criticizes it has never done it. Bodybuilding, there's injuries. People at the gym, there's injuries when they push themselves too far and they don't do it the right way. That doesn't mean that CrossFit is at fault. If somebody does something wrong, you don't blame the thing that, like the beginning of it. So like, somebody tackles someone in rugby incorrectly and gets injured, you don't then say rugby's at fault. You say, well, that technique was incorrect and that's what happened. So I don't want to leave on a negative, because I think by and large the people that understand CrossFit, very positive. It's just sometimes it can be a little confusing with all of the different things that people have got and all the different messages that you hear. This is just my personal experience of CrossFit. It's changed my life in the past few months. I've only done it a couple of months, but I'm massively into it. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, I'm biased quite clearly, but I'm not going to come across it as if I'm not. If you wanted to know any more, drop me a message, put a comment. I'm happy to discuss anything with anyone. I'm going to go through some more stuff later on in further workouts when, as and when is needed. I just wanted to do a kind of a little bit of a basic of what CrossFit is. If you've got any specific questions or anything you want to see, any specific exercises you want me to do to see that you want to be able to do at home, there's a lot of bodyweight stuff that you can do at home without having to join a box and without having to kind of do a lot of these principles. You can do on your own at home if you have the motivation. So if you want any information, let me know. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And I'm doing another video tomorrow, or today, whenever this one comes out. So I'll see you then. Bye.